Hello and welcome to Frostside Chat, our weekly live stream post-session discussion where we talk about what just happened during D&D. This is the chat for session 12. If you've not watched that session yet, please go do that now because there will be spoilers. I am your Dungeon Master Eric, and joining me, Valraven's player Chris.
Hello.
Raymond's player Edmund, floating around as per usual. This is a later than usual start because we had a later than usual start for our session and went a little bit later for our session, so please bear with us. I'm still frazzled over having to run so many character sheets and things. Combat is not necessarily my forte.
How many did you have total?
So we had
Five?
The regular, regular Dwerger, the Dwerger Mindmaster, the Human Spore Servants, and then I guess technically that Quagga Spore Servant I never used. So
yeah,
I guess it's just three eventually. Yeah. So, as written in the book, that is a giant empty room, and the cells do have the Spore Servants inside. And I believe it is written that they do that thing where they pull a lever and release everybody, I think. Let's see, 07. Each of the 5 cells. Let's see. Oh no, it just says the Spore Servants emerge from their cells to attack intruders who enter the room, so they just do it on their own. Okay.
The cells are open already.
I guess.
Is there some inconsistencies in the writing there?
Yeah, it doesn't actually mention. Well, no, because it specifically says they have just that barred opening northeast corner. Some of the ones in the 3 cells on the west wall are empty at present. Each of the 5 cells holds 1 prisoner. Oh, maybe I added that part then. Yeah, maybe they're just like cells, like actual like bars then. So anyway, this was the only thing that mentioned the whole Spore Servant thing. So I read this and I explored this a lot more because I thought, okay, this can be the thing that this guy is doing. And like the thing that makes this area more interesting than just a half a dozen Dwerger in this overly large facility, is they are kidnapping people, turning them into Spore Servants, and they're doing that here in this outpost. So that means they have a way to do it. So that means I'm going to put a whole bunch of they've got these mushrooms that they're cultivating, and then using those to make like.
Oh, wait, so even the mushrooms in the room weren't part of the thing? I thought that was like built into the map.
No, sir, I did all of that.
Oh, interesting.
Those are all Roll20 assets.
Good job, because I legit thought that was just part of the map. I was like, oh, it's like just, the green, fungal stuff all over the place.
That makes me feel good, but no, it is not at all part of the map. That was completely added.
It was seamless.
Yeah. I tried to make it look pretty good. Yeah, it was just a completely empty room, and the only thing that happens is, the Spore Servants come out and attack. So I changed a lot of that to make it, and there were only, I believe, 2 Dwerger who are in the other room, and then I added the 3rd one, and then eventually I replaced it with that Dwerger Mindmaster. So I was like, all right, I want kind of another mini-boss in here to take charge of things and have some kind of, just something different instead of chucking javelins or something.
Yeah.
What I didn't quite realize is how much damage this Dwerger Mindmaster can do.
Right.
Compared to a normal Dwerger. Like, they've got that. I looked at that awesome Mindmaster. I was like, this is such a cool ability. I'm obviously going to use it on Frey as much as I can and use her to attack people, or use her to walk into the mushrooms. So the other thing I did is I made this entire room an environmental hazard, where if you had to walk through it, you had to make the acrobatics check, and if you fail it, then that triggers essentially a custom D4 table that I made for this room, which I can go ahead and tell you what it is since we're out of there.
We saw 2 of them. Well, no, we saw 2 of them, but one of them failed. So we only really saw one of them actually happen.
Right, so obviously if you roll a 1, that's what I consider to be the worst one, which was I used the Violet Fungus stat block, which literally says this thing attacks 1d4 times. It only has a +2 to hit, but deals 1d8 necrotic damage.
Yeah.
And it just happened that
it worked.
It hit quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
If you roll a 2, it's pretty much the exact same thing as the caustic spores that Nildar used. on all of you, which is it's a radius. Everybody has to make a dex save, and you can take continual acid damage.
Okay.
Number 3 is just a single shot. If you fail a con save, you're poisoned for 1 minute. Although you can repeat the save, so disadvantage on stuff.
That kind of sucks. Yeah.
And then number 4, I thought, okay, it'd be fun to have one that wasn't bad. You know, because they're mushrooms like everywhere.
Yeah.
And one of the things that myconids can do with their mushrooms is they release these spores, which then allow the other characters to speak telepathically with them. So I thought, okay, if you roll a 4, then suddenly your mind, and it's like a radius, your mind opens up to each other and you can all communicate telepathically for an hour.
That's fun.
So even if you fail the acrobatics, you have a 25% chance of actually not having anything bad happen.
Right.
But instead, most people made their acrobatics checks like crazy.
Yeah.
Like that initial thing from Celeste scared the party. Obviously, what I should have done, I was kicking myself so hard for doing this. I think I pulled the trigger too soon. Because only Celeste was in there, and she was like, all right, I'm going to come in here and rescue the person and do all this. And I'm like, I got to pull the trap now. But unfortunately, the party is being so smart about not coming into this fucking room.
The only one you could have waited on was Frey. Because Heather was talking about going into the room when you pulled the trap.
Yeah.
But all the rest of us were not going to go in there
That's
until
true.
we saw the results.
And I was so worried whenever you guys said, okay, we're going to back out. We're just going to close the door and leave this room. I'm just like, oh, fuck. What do I do for that? Like that just causes...
Well, that's what the prisoner's for, right? Like we're still there to rescue people. So
true. You are still there to rescue people. Yes. Which put me in a unique situation because you guys had to rescue. You rescued the one effectively, and then you backed out. Yeah. Now, I still allowed everything, and you guys stayed in the doorway and instead basically created a kill box, which was incredibly effective.
Which is that's what I was saying initially. Is I just didn't want us all to run into the mushroom room,
right?
And have like a big spread out fight.
Which was smart because you saw as soon as you start moving around, like like any kind of movement triggers basically that acrobatics check.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys want to look, I can put you back on there.
Yeah, I like to move around.
But you guys played it really smart. You put down that freaking grease trap, and grease is so good against enemies that aren't smart enough to avoid it. And these things are they're technically, basically controlled by the Dwergar, but they're not really smart enough to avoid something like that. And they all just fell in the grease and just
that was good. Yeah,
ended up just kind of stopping their movement and giving you guys advantage on all of them. They only have like bandit hit points. There's like anywhere from 8 to 16. So, and they're pretty squishy. But that Quaggoth had 3 times as much hit points. Well, maybe twice. He had 36. And he had multi-attack. Like, he was supposed to be like this bigger, scarier version. I thought, I'm going to throw one in there because the Dwergar, maybe they got one of those in the Underdark and got him with fungus and unleashed him. And it's funny because I thought he would be the scarier threat. And it ended up being the Dwergar Mindmaster was the scarier threat by far. Because you guys took out that freaking Quaggoth like nobody's business.
Just who we were able to focus.
Yes. Yeah, and the whole plan with the Mind Master, which I totally cheated on his hit points because it was getting late, and I was like, the climax of this fight has ended.
Oh right. Once we're chasing up the stairs, like we could have just been hacking at him all day
Frankly,
long.
I should have ended that a round earlier. Like when I realized like you guys were all just chasing after Frey. And especially when I was struggling with that because he's like, all right, I'm going to come back and try to attack Frey, and then he'll miss, and then Frey will attack, but he fucking hit and downed Frey, and I was like, fuck.
No, I've added 10 minutes to this fight.
Yeah, I've added 10 minutes to this fight. Like, god damn it. And initially I thought, okay, I know Heather wants the kill, but initiative-wise, if I don't let Thimbleweed get the kill right now, that fucking Mindmaster's going to go again.
Yeah.
And, like, it could be potentially, like, just awful from there, so.
Yeah.
Just let him down him. Although it was pretty close. Like he had good hit points, and I rolled really well for his hit points when I rolled it. And only later did I realize he's a CR2 compared to the average Dwergar, which is a CR1. So he's quite a bit more powerful. And I purposely gimped him. It says he can actually use his melee attack and his mind mastery together.
Oh.
So he has fucking multi-attack. He could have stabbed with that dagger twice in a turn.
Then done the mind thing?
Or stabbed and done a mind thing. And I made sure he only got one. Like, once he started doing that to you, I was like, he needs to only do, like, one thing a turn, or he's just going to go real sour real fast. So, yeah, because the Spore Servants were the same, except I replaced one with a Quaggoth, which you guys took out. And then I added a third Dwergar, but it was a Mind Master Dwergar. And then I added this entire environment of mushrooms that you guys had to roll acrobatics checks to get through. All of that was new stuff that I changed.
Okay.
And I knew going into it, was like, this is going to be a big fight, but, you know, it's just kind of the way this dungeon ended up playing out is we had basically one big fight to the north, which really wasn't that big. It was like 2 Dwergar and an Ogre Zombie. And then this one big fight to the south. Instead of being like a room-to-room thing, instead you basically alerted multiple rooms together, which is kind of what this was.
Yeah, which, I mean, is probably how we had to how it had to play out in the end anyway. I don't think there was going to be a whole lot of, once we alerted everybody, there was going to be a whole lot of, going room to room at that point.
Yeah. And Brandon, I also mess up big combats all the time. I'm sure I forgot a lot of stuff. Dwergar is supposed to have spell resistance. I'm sure I forgot that several times. I can't believe I remembered that Freya's disadvantage because for her concussion that randomly after like 2 saves there. I'm sure we forgot about the mushroom movement at some point. Like there was all with the grease. Like there was so many different rules coming up. Yeah. This is not a video game where I've got reminders popping up all the time. This is just me and the players like trying to remember things. And yeah, a lot. And I'm sure people listening and watching are saying, "Oh, what about this?" Like, yeah, we just legit forgot.
I would challenge anyone to present me with a DM that in any combat scenario can remember every single rule that every player on the board.
There are probably some that are far better and do a better job of note taking. Like if they have like sticky notes up that say like, "Hey, remember this, remember that." But
if you've got like four creatures on the board, 3 of them have reaction abilities and 2 of them have like I don't know.
You're trying to play everybody tactically sound, but also making sure it's still fun for the players and trying to gauge.
Also, you're not trying to drag down the session with you reading the sheets every 2 minutes.
Yes,
too.
Exactly. You do not want to sit there and be like, okay, what do I do? And like every time I pause and have to think about something, I immediately like start sweating. Where it's like I just got to do something. I want to get back to the players as soon as possible.
Which I don't know about you, Eric. When I have combats with a spellcaster, like actual like spells and spell slots, I will write down, okay, first round, here's the spell they're gonna cast. Second round, this is the spell they're gonna cast. Because I can't read all that shit during a combat. There's just no way for me to make that decision. Yeah,
spellcasters are awful for that reason. Like if they have big spell lists, you're like, okay, what are the 3 spells this guy's gonna cast?
They want to get out immediately.
More than that many rounds.
Yep, exactly.
Which I like that Mind Master. He doesn't actually have spells. It just has that like Mind Master ability that he does. I'm like, perfect. Just do that all the time.
Perfect. Yeah, that is good.
And then do his terribly damaging. That's such a big damage attack. And I knew as soon as I crit and I saw that, I was like, oh god, he's gonna roll so much extra dice.
If it had just been the physical, that would have been fine. It was on me. It was like 50. It was physical, which was like 11,
right?
And 15 psychic.
It's because.
Holy shit!
It does 1d4 plus 3 piercing damage, which is just the dagger, and then 3d6 psychic damage. But on a crit, all of those dice get rolled again.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh fuck, that's a lot of damage.
Yep. And that was crazy.
Twice. So like on the one hand, I overturned the comment a little bit. On the other hand, obviously I didn't expect him to get his crit on his the most powerful, like most painful thing I could have gotten a crit on.
I'll say this as a compliment. You came as close to the wire as you can get without crossing over. Like it was like one of those combats that was very hairy.
Yeah.
But it never felt like like the DM had to like pull punches in order for us to survive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it felt like it was just a genuinely difficult fight.
That's good. I was worried at several points. Obviously, when Frey went down and immediately failed a death save, I was like, "Shit!" Yeah, because I did not expect. Like, I was just like, "All right, he's gonna go up and attack one more time." I was like, "No, I shouldn't have done that." God, I just downed her, and now she's so fucked. And then Celeste like shows off her like fucking legs. Like, all right, yeah, you can make it across the battlefield.
My plan, by the way, the second half of my plan, was that I haven't been able to use it yet. Is my Fey elf thing that lets me teleport other people. I can use my Misty Step on someone else that is willing. I can like touch them and teleport them 30 feet. So I didn't have an escape plan for myself. I thought I kind of thought like the whole fight was going to move to the north, and I'd be back in the back by myself with the prisoner.
Yeah.
And I would like teleport her back behind my teammates.
Okay.
And then I could just hang in the back until the fight was over.
That's still very dangerous, dude. This was a nasty room, and
it was dangerous.
Enemies around. Yeah.
I genuinely did not know that the Dwarger Mindmaster was literally standing right there at the stairs. That I did not know that. I probably would not have done what I did if I had.
And obviously didn't know he was capable of doing that kind of damage output too.
Yep. Still, one day I will get. Keep in mind, DM. I'm going to tell you about a combo that I've been thinking about.
Uh-oh.
An
exploitative combo.
An exploitive combo that I'm going to see if you.
I mean, we've allowed a lot of players to do some crazy shit.
And actually, the other day, I think it was just yesterday, I was Googling like synonym words to try to figure out how to do this. Use the command spell to make someone, and the best word I came up with was acquiesce, to be willing, so that I can teleport them with my face step. Because it says if a creature is willing, you can teleport them. So if I could command them to be willing,
wow,
think about that.
That's interesting. That's interesting. That is kind of exploitative. At least you're using a spell, I guess. Command is a spell.
I mean, I'm using 2 spells technically, because Face Step is still like even though it's like innate, it's still like a level 2 spell.
Oh, is it? Are you using a spell slot, or is it just like your?
No, it's like an innate spell. Yeah, it's like a once per rest thing. Exactly.
Right, so it's not like something you're going to abuse all the time. It's like a once per long rest thing.
But if I could get it off, it'd be pretty
fun.
Dangerous.
Yeah,
it'd be like I could teleport them anywhere.
Well, how, like 30 feet, isn't it for Misty Step, or is it farther?
Yeah, but depending on where we are, 30 feet could be a.
Well, I just mentioned the fact, like I gotta watch out for like bridges and shit. Like you guys have so many abilities to move people and knock people around. Like, oh my goodness, this has become like a specialty of you people.
Right.
Being able to do this. Yeah, so
Submit's a good one.
Submit is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Submit. Also, kind of a badass thing to say.
It is. Yeah.
Kind of a villain thing to say. Agree.
Yeah, agree would actually work too, I suppose.
Yeah, I feel like acquiesce is actually probably the word that Valrobin would use, though.
Yeah,
it's a more poetic word.
It has the most syllables to it.
Yeah. Brandon asked a good question, especially with Raymond here. Are you guys enjoying your characters? Are they playing out the way you originally envisioned, or are you finding them to be different than expected? Only level 3, so maybe it's too early to tell, but...
It is early to tell.
Somebody in the chat earlier in the same in here, I think it was Blanky said it. That Alchemist would probably be a lot more fun if you could know what your potion is when you create it at the beginning of the day. Because not knowing and then thinking you're gonna get something and then just straight up nothing happens because you know what was the last one? We had like full health and it was a health potion.
I'm very tempted to modify that, like Blanky was saying, where you can roll and know what you're. So that's you. So you roll. You're still rolling randomly, but you're rolling it when you make it rather than when you're drinking it.
When you drink it, it's random.
Right, and I think the change we could make is instead when you first make it, then you roll, and then you know what it is from then on. I think that would be a fine homebrew change for that, because that does seem a little too random and frustrating, especially what we've seen so far. Which, you know, first time with the class, first time with the subclass too. We've never seen anything like this.
So early. I mean, well, it's definitely a change from my hit 'em hard rogue and fighter and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Ranger, you've had a style up until now of like just yeah.
It
was a little challenging as a spellcaster to like stand back and not do much.
And to be fair, spellcasters often take a while to come online. Like that's kind of the whole thing. Like that
is true.
You know, it takes a couple levels before you start getting into those deeper spells and more powerful things you can do.
So I'd say ask me again at level 5.
Yeah. How do you guys feel
as far as my answer?
Oh yeah, sorry.
I was just saying, as far as my answer, yes. And it's posing the exact same challenge that I knew it would pose at the beginning, is knowing when to shut up and when not to shut up as a player.
Yeah. I think it's been great. Like, I think it's
No,
a really
yeah.
fun character role play.
As far as the character itself, I think he's working out exactly as I imagined him. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, how do you two feel about the pacing so far?
Like campaign pacing or like session?
I guess level wise.
It's good. I'm trying. It's hard for me to like even think about like how long have we been at this level. I don't know how long have we been at this level. Did we took a break at some point? There was a week off, and
Yeah.
Sessions was just conversation. So
Yes. So you guys have been level 3 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This was the 7th session at level 3.
okay, yeah, that's fine. I don't feel like I'll say this. I have not yet felt that like, oh god, we're still this level. I've not
Okay.
felt that so far
Yeah.
in any situation. I maybe it's because the situations are tailored for the levels we're at, you know. So we're not feeling like we're like gated out of anything.
Yeah. There was a lot of good content for these early levels, but I'm also conscious about not doing what Tomb did, which was drag on that tier 1 for too long.
Yeah, and honestly, as far as like level progression, once you hit 5, you can drag them out as long as you fucking want to.
Well, that's what I'm
Because at
saying.
that point, once you hit 5, you're kind of online fully,
Yeah,
and
you do.
it's like.
But that's what I
alright,
mean. Like
just-
Tomb, it took a long time to get to 5. In other words, it was that tier
Yeah.
1 was a long time until you reached 5. I forget how many sessions exactly, but I'm trying not to make it take that long this time around, because I think that was
the only times that I would ever feel pacing issues are with individual like dungeons, like oh god, we're still in this dungeon. I've used all my shit, and it's still going on, and I've not felt that so far. Like every encounter, the mountain, I don't remember the one before, the mine before that. Everyone has felt pretty solid in terms of like, all right, we've run out of resources, but we're also at the end of this.
Yeah, that's true. It's been kind of nice the way none of them are particularly like huge crawls or anything, and a lot of them do involve dungeons, but they're generally not, terribly big, which they shouldn't be at this level, I don't think.
Right, because that's the only if you're talking about like issues with pacing, I feel like from a player's perspective, that's the only time that that would come up, is if situations where like I'm out of shit, like I'm just auto attacking because I have nothing left, and you're still throwing stuff at me,
So
and that has not come up yet.
In Tomb of Annihilation, we got to level 4 in session 18.
Wow.
You guys will be getting level 4 in session 13 here.
All right.
So
that's faster.
We're above the curve. We started at 2, but we only took 2 sessions to get there for Tomb, but I'm trying to be a little bit above the curve. And that's with shorter sessions here, too. I think overall, still, we have closer to 2:15 or 2.5 hours. So yeah, what do you think about this overall dungeon, I guess, and mission?
I liked it. Now, as you describe what you did to it, I feel like I liked your homebrew stuff more than I like the dungeon itself. Because like the cool part about this session was the fungus. It was like the craziness of that particular room, and the zombie, fungus people, and all that.
Yes, which I literally used a Last of Us picture to make these zombie tokens, because the tokens in Roll20 were just people, and it just said, like, human spore servant.
Yes.
And I was like, that's lame to the extreme.
Yep.
I need fungus
agree.
people.
Yeah. Have you encountered any like tokens that literally just have words printed on them?
I have. In fact, that Dwerger Mindmaster fucking has that, and I used a different kind of Dwerger, and just pointed it to the right sheet that I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
I mean, not all groups are as visually oriented as we are, but we are very
obviously,
visually oriented.
D&D doesn't have art for all these creatures, especially variant versions of creatures, so I get it, but yeah, it's annoying. And it actually ended up going a lot faster. The combats took longer, but you guys didn't explore the entire northeast section, which is another 3 rooms. I literally montaged all that stuff.
Yeah, what would have happened if we'd gone up there?
I was gonna make it empty because I had the 2 Dwerger rush you guys in the previous fight, which was the one with the ogre zombie.
Okay.
So there
just
were
two Dorger.
there were 2 Dwerger, the ones you had to sneak past when you went after the bunker. You had to roll another stealth check. There were 2 Dwerger there guarding that area. So if you guys, when you first made it into that big room with the ogre zombie, if you had gone east into those doors, you would have fought those 2 Dwerger. Instead, you went northwest and fought the boss, and then kind of set off the alarm by hitting that spike lever and then throwing the guy at the zombie and doing all that. So I had those 2 guys rush into the main keep, which means that area to the northeast was basically empty. So it would have just been going through there. They were empty. You would have found the weapons and armor. You would have found that tunnel leading to the bunker. And then off screen, I was going to have just Nildar escape with the last dwarf that was in the bunker. And just put them in my proverbial DM pocket.
Well, then it's a good thing that you actually told us that the prisoners were to the south then, because that to me, that sounds like a big waste of time. If we just run around that northeast section and just not really found anything.
Basically, yeah. And there wasn't a good organic way of doing that versus you guys asked the right questions about where do we need to go, and I pointed you to go then. I did point the fact that those Dwergar, when they came in that previous fight, came from the east, but you didn't still know, what the dungeon looks like or what other things there are, so. And then, just because of the time, and I was like, even if we had more time left, I would have said, I wouldn't have made you guys explore that northeast corner. I would have said, all right, you finish. Yeah, you clearly there's no more enemies. You can find more, weapons and supplies, but it's basically, it's just like the other half of the town supplies are up there. And obviously, I didn't modify that part of the map like I did this one, so. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with the Spore thing. I would definitely recommend to folks who are running this dungeon, that was such a footnote of this dungeon is oh yeah, they've got some Spore servants here. It's wait, what? And I looked into that and I'm okay, I can go with this and go hard on the whole mushroom theme. And maybe I went a little too hard because this fight did go a while. Maybe
you probably brought it right to the edge. I feel like you take any one element away, and it's probably a normal encounter. But you brought it right to the edge of.
You guys played it. You guys played it really well, even despite my huge crits of damage downing you. The grease thing in the middle, and then luring everybody because you nullified basically my entire danger room was by just making them all come to you.
Right.
Only by having people come out and then fall down did that bring people coming out oh shit, we got to come out and help them. Yeah, that was the Dwergar Outpost dungeon crawl, and this was the one that was more of the traditional exploration dungeon, right?
Yeah. Which even though technically at the end of the day it ended up being 2. Well, I said 2 rooms, but there was the outside section too that we were kind of exploring. We stealthed around the bunker, so that I consider that a room, of its own.
That's true. It was a little less explory because you basically only made the one big choice you had to make was the beginning, in which 3 directions you went, and you guys just decided to head to the boss unbeknownst to you. Right. And then from there on, it was more of a directed, okay, we gotta go and do this fight and then do this fight, which that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's the way a lot of the exploration dungeons go anyway, because you don't know which direction they're gonna go. They can go to the end immediately. You know what I mean?
All right. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on your level 4 stuff? All right, level 4 is just the feat or the API, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I'm almost certainly just going to take charisma. It's such a boon to everything to get my charisma up to 20 and get another +1 to spells and attacks and everything.
Hard to pass up.
Yeah.
Ray, do you have any ideas for level 4?
I haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah.
It's either just ability scores or a feat. It's basically that's. Which in general, I love feats. I would love to take a feat, but this particular character, I was nah, charisma, 20 charisma.
Everything you do is charisma. Yeah, it's not like you're mixing it up between different things.
Yeah.
It does. It's all he does.
That's right.
Cool. All right, well, we will level up next time as we complete another mission. And I think that will do it for Frostside Chat. Thank you to Raymond and Chris. I am Eric. Thank you to the fans for watching. And
where did I get API from?
See you all next week. API, you got API from, I said API too. It's
I got
ASI. ASI.
It is. So where did I get API from?
From Roll20, the thing I have to use, the
that is where I got it.
programming stuff. Yeah, I did the same fucking thing. I just said,
Okay.
ASI, ability score improvement.
ASI, yes.
That's why it makes sense so far. Like, wait, what?
Random letters.
And we will see you all next week.
Later.